Hey guys, happy Turkey Day, or early Turkey Day. Today is the day before Thanksgiving, and these three birds here, these three turkeys, I'm going to fry two and smoke one. Well, actually, I'm going to smoke another 6-pound breast as well that I don't have here yet, but I want to show you guys the process start to finish. This is a kind of thing, this is kind of my holiday. This is what I do every year. I enjoy it, and yeah, I'll show you what I do every year. So these were frozen birds that I bought at the local grocery store. I took them out of the freezer yesterday, and they've just kind of been defrosting in open air in the garage. It's pretty cool in here. So yeah, they're probably going to be defrosted in a couple hours, I would guess. But in the meantime, let's start working on the marinade that we inject into the turkeys, and also let's work on the rub for the smoked turkey. I know when I said start to finish, I lied. Sorry, I forgot to hit record when I did all this. So let me tell you what I've done so far. In this pot here, I've got maybe 3/4 of a quart of chicken broth, 2 sticks of unsalted butter, some sea salt, some pepper, some celery salt, some garlic. Did I say paprika? Maybe I did, I don't know. So this is just kind of sitting in here, simmering. I might throw in a couple more ingredients from the spice cabinet up here. I kind of wing it every year. It's not an exact science. It's pretty hard to screw up. You know, just season it to your liking. Just make sure you put plenty of butter and also salt and pepper in there. So I think that's what does most of the work, and paprika. Now over here in the rub, I've got salt, pepper, paprika, brown sugar, some celery salt. That's probably the most important ingredients. So that's kind of at least the look I go for when I make this every year. So I'm going to let this simmer on the pot here. I don't know for how long, we'll see how much patience I have, but I want that garlic to kind of seep out and season things properly. Oops, the camera got a little saggy there. Might add another stick of butter, haven't decided yet. Keep in mind, I'm making a lot here because I'm injecting 3 turkeys. So when I smoke a turkey, I inject it with the same stuff that I used in the fried turkeys, but I also rub the outside with this rub over here. Now make sure you grind the pepper up really fine, because if you don't, it's going to get stuck in the injector needle. So what I use a coffee grinder. I don't recommend using it for coffee after you've used it for pepper. I throw a bit in there, and I just go to town with it. Make sure you grind it up really fine. Otherwise you're going to have problems, you're going to have clogs, you're going to get frustrated. Why does this camera keep on sagging? Once you've perfected this recipe, you will never go back to a baked turkey ever again in the oven. It goes a lot faster, tastes a lot better. People will come from far and wide to eat your Thanksgiving food. Just by comparison, you know, you might cook a bird in the oven for 5-6 hours, whatever. The fryer might be as little as 60 to 90 minutes. Smoking is a lot longer. That's depending upon the size of the bird. That could be a multi-day operation. What I usually do is I'll buy a fairly good sized bird, maybe in the high teens or low 20s, and I'll start it the day before in the smoker, which is today. So we'll be starting it today, and then I'll stick it in the fridge overnight, and then stick it back in the smoker early in the morning on Thanksgiving. I found over time that if you try to do it all on Thanksgiving, you try to smoke a large bird from start to finish on Thanksgiving Day, you'll have people at the dinner table waiting to eat, and your bird will still be in the smoker. So this kind of helps that process along a little bit, and makes Thanksgiving Day a lot less stressful. Now, if your family likes a lot of spice, which mine unfortunately does not, you can add a little bit of chili powder and cayenne pepper to both of these to give it a little bit of kick. So I'm doing it pretty mild though, because some of my guests tomorrow like spicy food while more don't. So I don't want to drive people away. So we're making it pretty mild. Smelling good. There's a lot of controversy over what smoking chips you should use. I personally use a mixture of hickory, cherry, and pecan. I would go a little heavier handed on the hickory, and just a little bit of cherry and pecan to go along with it. And what I usually do, if I remember, is I let the wood chips soak overnight in water. Otherwise, when you put them in the smoker, they'll just light on fire and burn off really quick. So this kind of slows the process down a little bit. I think I'm going to add a 1/3 stick of butter to this. I know it's a heart attack on a plate here, but the butter really does make everything taste better. And again, I use unsalted butter just so I can control how much salt is in there a little bit easier. Let that melt away. Got the smallest of the three turkeys in the sink, ready to open up. It's probably still a bit frozen, but that's not going to matter a great deal. I got my injectable marinade needle here. I think my wife got this for me a couple years ago on Amazon. I'll see if I can find it, and if I can, I'll leave a link in the description. This thing is amazing. It's all stainless steel. You know, it's not like one of those cheapos that you get at the grocery store when you buy that injectable marinade in a can. So it's really well made. I've been using it for a long time. Comes, like I said, all stainless steel. Comes with some really nice needles too of various sizes. So again, I'll try and leave a link in the description there. So let's cut this bird bag open and see what we see. Hopefully a bird. So the first step is obviously to get the bird out of the bag, wash it off, make sure it's reasonably well defrosted. If it's not, we'll just let it sit on the counter for a while. Assuming it is, then we'll start injecting. So this one is 17.81 pounds. So still not a terribly large bird, but it's going to take a while in the smoker. I mean, worst case, you do it in 2 days and it's done a little sooner. What's the harm in that, right? Just tell your guests to show up faster. I know this is very different from what you're used to seeing on this channel, but it is the time of year, so we might as well enjoy it, right? I did clean the sink out ahead of time with soap and water too, which is always a good idea. Who knows what's living in kitchen sinks? Oh, I'm sure labs know what's living in there. We don't need to talk about that though. Let's cut this bag open. Can you guys see okay? Hopefully you can. I'm gonna have the water running. Get the bag off. Well, she's still a tiny bit. Yeah, she's still a bit frozen down here. Running water through it'll help though. Run some water through it for a while and defrost it a bit, and then we'll start injecting. I think it's good enough to inject. All right, hopefully the bird is defrosted enough for us to start injecting. So I got my pot of the marinade right here. Got my needle. I want to keep this stuff mixed up because the butter will sit on top. In fact, it's best if you have some kind of container that's taller rather than as wider. Let me see if I can go find something. I'm gonna try a little Pyrex jar or measuring cup. Ooh, that's warm. Wow, okay. So again, the bird is still a little bit frozen, but we're gonna try our best here, and this will help defrost it. Obviously, too, we're pumping it full of boiling hot fluid. And when you pull the needle, I just have a towel nearby because sometimes it does spray. That's what she said. Kind of a messy job, but it's well worth it. Oops, that one sprayed. Remember to stir every time you suck up some of the marinade. This is so much better than the stuff you buy at the store. 'Cause you know, for one, you know what's in it, right? The stuff you buy at the store, made in China for all you know, and full of God knows what. Anyway, just work your way around the bird. Now you'll know you're done injecting once the bird just kind of won't take anymore. You'll spray in one hole and it'll ooze out the other. That's what she said. You know, draw your own conclusions. Tell your own jokes. So yeah, whenever I'm done injecting, I like to let it sit for about an hour before I do anything with it in the, in the fryer or the smoker or whatever. But now, since we're not going to be cooking it right away, we're going to probably put it in maybe, I don't know, it's 12:30 now, maybe 1:30. Now's a good time to put the rub on the outside and let that sit. So that's pretty easy. We take the rub that we made earlier, right here. You can put gloves on, you can do this barehanded, whatever, however you feel, however the spirit moves you. Mix it up real good. And while this thing is sitting for the next hour, now is a good time to go outside and warm up your smoker. I have a gas-fired one, so it's just a matter of lighting a flame, but if you have a charcoal-fired one, probably want to go build your fire, get it nice and warm. I like to smoke probably in the low 200s, maybe between 200 and 220 degrees Fahrenheit. But some people like to smoke it faster or slower. It's personal preference. As long as the bird is a safe internal temperature, I think it's 165 for poultry, then you're fine. Obviously, the lower the temperature you cook at, the longer it takes to cook. I made way too much of this rub here. You know what I should have done? I meant to put some butter on the outside to just kind of hold the rub in place. We can pour some on there from our pot here. That'll help anchor things. I'm going to pour a little bit of this on the outside. Now, if I was smart, I would take a spray gun and just kind of spray it on. Almost like a mist, but I'm not that smart and I'm way too lazy. That's going to be piping hot, so let it cool down for a moment. Probably not by now, actually. This will just help hold the rub there so it doesn't fall off. There we go. I should get the legs. Make sure you make a mess while you're doing this too. That's really important. If you don't make a mess, you're not doing it right. Throw a little bit at the back side, or is that the front side? I don't know turkey anatomy. All right, that should be good. Gotta put some on the front side, or the back side, depending upon your perspective. Okay, so now we'll let this sit for about an hour. We'll come back and we'll shove it in the smoker. All right, so we're in the backyard now. Over there is my fryer. We'll use that tomorrow. And over here is my smoker. You don't need a super expensive fancy smoker to do this. $100, $150 smoker from Lowe's or Home Depot will work just fine. This is an old charbroiled gas-fired one. Hopefully it still works. But yeah, as far as fryers go, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting one that does not have all those built-in thermal safeties. Maybe they don't even make them anymore. I got this one a couple of years ago. I had one prior to, this is probably my third or fourth fryer. The fryer before this one had some kind of thermal cutoff where, I don't know, there was some kind of thermocouple that would shut the flame off if it got too hot, or I don't know. But this one doesn't have those safeties. It works a lot better. I think it's just a Bayou classic, nothing fancy. Make sure you do this outside, guys. Don't put this in your garage. Don't even put it under a covered patio. It's just not a good idea because you're gonna have open flames, and obviously they say it on the news every year, but still some people kill themselves. Do not put a frozen turkey in the fryer. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right, back to the smoker. So from the factory, this smoker comes with that pan down there. The center area is designed to hold water. The outer area is designed to hold wood chips. Or maybe it's vice versa, I don't remember. Either way, it's not enough. So what I usually do is I'll fill the center with water, and I'll put the wood chips on the outer portion. And I also add that stainless steel dish you see on top of the smoker inside the actual smoker to keep it moist. If you don't keep things moist, it'll get really hot. You'll boil off a lot of the moisture in the turkey. It'll just be really dry and no bueno. So first off, make sure everything's nice and clean. Give it a good hose off with the garden hose. Slide that into the smoker, make it so you guys can see. I also added some thermal tape on the outside of the door, kind of a door gasket. It's time to replace it though, and I can't really find it, so we're not going to do that right now. But that just keeps the smoke inside the smoker. So let's fill our center section here with water. So right now I'm just going to be smoking one bird, but I'm going to be doing another one tomorrow, a smaller breast. So we'll we're going to do is we're going to put this right here. Just trying to think about how I want this thing situated, because you can move these shells. It's kind of cool. Fill this with water. Now that bottom pan, you got to check that like every half an hour. So it's a horrible design, or maybe it's intentional. But you can't set this thing and forget it. So we got that shelf. And let's put our turkey on this shelf here. So our bird's going to go right there. All right, that's that. So we can set that on low. We got the tank closed. We got to get our fire starter, because you know how these things work. The fire starter works like 3 times and then never again. So let me get something to start a fire with. Let's get this show on the road. So let's turn our gas off all the way. Turn this on. That's a trick a lot of people don't know. What they'll do is they'll leave the gas on their grill, their smoker on. They'll turn the tank on. They'll wonder why the flame is low. They'll think there's something wrong with the flame or the grill. Not the case. Make sure this thing is off, because there's some kind of weird valve in the tanks nowadays, or maybe it's in the regulator, that if you open the gas tank with an open valve, it'll just flow out really, really slowly. I don't know why they do that. Maybe it's some kind of safety, but I see a lot of people make that mistake. Okay, so we got a flame. Hopefully you guys can just trust me on that one. I don't really feel like lowering the camera. Oh, there you go. You can see it now. So we'll let that cook for a minute, warm up the inside. One thing that almost all smokers have in common is a horribly inaccurate thermometer. So you notice this one on the front has this little charbroil stock thermometer. It doesn't really work that well. So make sure you have a separate one. I have a probe that I use to stick in the turkey to check the internal temperature, but you can also stick it through the vent at the top. That works too. One thing I've been thinking about doing is building my own smoker. If anybody watching this has built their own smoker, let me know what you think. Share your experiences. Maybe share if you have a link to your design somewhere. I'm curious, because all the ones you buy, they rust out in a couple of years, and I don't know. I feel like if you just make one, do it right, do it once, and be done with it. Right? Make it out of stainless steel, so it never rusts. Use an actual, real high quality thermometer. I don't know. It just seems like it seems stupid to keep on buying these things for $150 every couple of years, but I guess that's what the manufacturers want you to do, so they make their money. Let's see, how long has it been? All right, we got another half an hour. So we'll resume once it's time to put the bird in. This is the thermometer I've been using. It's an Amazon special. I'll see if I can find it and give you guys a link in the description. Works pretty well though. Prior to this, I was using my fluke meter. So it's been, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes or so. Let's see if we can get a temperature reading on this thing. So the built-in thermometer says it's 250, maybe 260. Well, let's see. Maybe 260 or so. Let's see what this thing says. Maybe it's right, I don't know. It does take a little while. That's the one thing I don't like about it. It's not instant like the fluke meter is. So we're at 199, with 203, 204. Smells great, even though there's nothing in there. 240, 250, 257. All right, so maybe it wasn't that far off. 259, 260, 260, 268. Wow, okay, we jumped. So we're about still going. 277, 280. All right, so yeah, this thing isn't quite accurate. So it's reading a little bit low. That's fine, that's what we have this thing for. It's been an hour, time to put the bird in. The dog is keeping a very close eye on it, guarding the turkey, lest it disappear. All right, let's see if I can do this without messing up. Let's turn the burner on high. We're good there. Let's open this all the way. All right, I'm not sure how much of that you guys heard because this camera gives you all 30 or 40 seconds of notice when the battery is about to die. So the bird's in the smoker. We got the smoking chips in there. And I was about to say, if you have a dog, don't put this on the ground because the dog will drink it and probably get very sick. All right, so let's start the clock. It's about 1:30. Okay guys, the bird's been in for about 15 minutes. We're about 250 or so. I just turned the gas down a little bit just to cool it off. I like to smoke it around 220 or so. So let's check it again in about half an hour, see if we're getting closer to that target. So we're smoking now. We're probably out of water, judging by the amount of smoke. So let's open up. We're at about maybe 225 or so, a little bit over, maybe 235. Oh, look at that. Doesn't that look beautiful? Let's add a little bit more water down there. There we go. I don't know what my dog's eating, but he's eating something right in front of the camera. Get out of the way. Come on. Labor of love, guys. So every half an hour or so, you got to check it just like that. Here's the bird about an hour and a half in. She's looking pretty healthy there. Just did a little refill in the water. Still got a lot of wood chips. Might redistribute them a little bit just to... It's a little heavy on the right side. Looking great, guys. Okay, guys, this is about 3 hours later, maybe just under. Let me get you situated for this. Get ready for it. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Let's get you zoomed in there. Ooh, amazing. All right, I'm closing the door. Hope you guys can taste that. All right, guys, it's getting late. It is about 6:30 Eastern time. I think I'm gonna call this video a wrap just so you guys can have this for Thanksgiving. So if your turkey is not done tonight, the day before, which undoubtedly will not be since it's 6:30, just finish it off the next day. Very easy. Stick it in the fridge, start your smoker up in the morning, and just finish off whatever was not cooked. Get it to 165 internal temp, I think. Anyway, hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please subscribe, and tomorrow, we'll be doing some frying too.